I have great affection for Dawkins before he turned into a Nazi intellectually, in my opinion. I teach The Selfish Gene. I still feel like it's one of the classic books
Yeah.
of the last century, even though if you read footnotes in the revised versions, in fact, I love that book because Dawkins is very honest. In the 1980s, he writes about how the two things that the selfish gene theory cannot say anything about are culture and consciousness. And I'm like, well, all right, dude. So you're just admitting that you have nothing to say about that which renders us uniquely human. And I have the same argument from a distance with Steven Pinker, obviously a smart guy, but he also has nothing to say for the most part about that which distinguishes us as humans. All right, back to atheism though. So you've got Dawkins and you've got Hitchens, and Hitchens was a genius in my opinion, but I find his book about what's the one about God's wrong,
God is
God's
not
never
great.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, he's wrong, and so is Dawkins, because they adopt an arrogantly homocentric position that everyone on earth is deluded except them. In other words, you've got religious people, and Hitchens even said, I used to be deluded, but then I was enlightened, and now I see things as they are. Well, a couple of things. First of all, they have comic book conceptions of atheism. The British
Exactly.
philosopher John Gray's book on the different forms of immortality or of atheism.
The seven types, right?
Yeah, seven
Yeah, I
types.
want to read that.
I
I
find
picked that
that
up in
to
the
be
bookshop and I wanted to read it. Yeah, it's funny you
it's a
mentioned that.
fine
Yeah.
book, and I don't
Yeah.
agree. Again, these are all great people, so I hope no one listening will mistake my glibness too much. These are fine scholars, Pinker and Dawkins and Hitchens, but they're wrong about atheism, and I'm saying that empirically because there are studies that show if you have a Christian fundamentalist and you show them logical inconsistencies in the Bible, that raises the level of unconscious death thoughts. We call it implicit death thought accessibility. In other words, you have these fundamentalists, they believe in the literal truth in the Bible. If you challenge that truth, then death thoughts come more readily to mind. Right? Does that make sense? But
Yes.
then
Yeah.
these other guys in Canada, they did a study where they showed atheists articles written by a supposed Harvard archaeologist suggesting that Jesus may have actually existed. Well, an atheist shown that increases their level of death thought accessibility. And so think about that for a moment. If you were just, if you are a rational individual, there'd be no reason why being exposed to factual information that happens to be at odds with your opinion, that shouldn't produce the same terror management function as a fundamentalist finding out that the Bible is bullshit. And so my point is that let's understand each other. Atheism is also a worldview. It happens to be a rather shallow and superficial one that has no discernible benefits to the individual who possesses it or to the people in the world that surround them. And I say that as an atheist. But back to John Gray, there's lots of flavors of atheism.
Yes.
And not all of them require that you be a pompous and arrogant individual who proclaims yourself superior by virtue of your opinions about things. So, again, I don't mind being annoying, but that's my view, is that those folks, they're smart people. They're right to recognize when religion brings out the worst in us, but that's only half the story. And I think we need to respectfully engage with the other half.
Yeah, I mean, me and you are pretty much in the same boat in that regard. Like I I typically call myself an agnostic atheist,
Me
just
too.
in the sense, just in the sense that like and like you said yourself, atheism has such a bad rep, because of this new atheism movement and I'm the same as you as well. Like I love Hitchens's lectures and his debates. I
Me
find them
too.
so entertaining. I love his rhetoric. I love him. And Dawkins, the Suffrage Gene, brilliant. Blind Watchmaker, love that as well. And
Brilliant.
but I think
That's
this
right.
is this is the difference, right? And this is where, you know, I respect you highly, is because you're able to understand that whilst they went a bit too far you know, in the religious category, you still remember and you still acknowledge that just that doesn't mean that their other work or everything that they said was incorrect. And I think a lot of people have this black and white view, of the subject, and I really commend you, and I admire that really highly in you, that you really are, and in the book as well, very capable of understanding that, you know, same with TMT, like, you know, like the counter argument would be like, oh, so everything is about death then. It's like, that isn't what you're saying. But
Right.
yeah, kind of.
That's right.
But yeah, kind of.